All right, everybody. Welcome back, man, to another fabulous episode of Movie Time with your boy King. And again, y'all, we are back with another installment of the Sean Combs The Reckoning episode 2 recap. Again, man, I have to acknowledge 50 Cent and Alexandra Stapleton because they have changed my life forever. And by changing my life, it's not in a bad way. It's not like I was a hardcore Sean Combs lover. I respected his business acumen until I saw this documentary. This series is it's tough. It's very tough. But if you haven't seen it, you definitely gotta go check it out on YouTube. It's enough. It's a lot. So let's jump right into it. Let's get into it, man. It's some stuff I gotta clarify from the first episode too. There was a mix-up because I did say that Messiah, who is Justin's mom, was taken from him from I'll Be Sure, which it wasn't. It was Kim Porter. Kim Porter was initially with I'll Be Sure. Kim Porter was initially the receptionist at Uptown Records, and she was dating I'll Be Sure before Puff even got hired. And she was the hot thing. He just wanted her because he admired I'll Be Sure so much. Messiah, he did not take, but he did meet her through Eric Sermon, like I said initially. But as you know, it's a long story, and you got to watch the episode to really get the full breakdown, or go and watch the documentary. But that was my only thing I think I had to fix from that last episode. So let's jump into episode 2. Episode 2 is very difficult for me, in the sense of it just reminds me of my childhood. It recaps the era of Bad Boys development. So how it starts off, they kind of go into it where Puff was let go of Uptown because of the controversy of the basketball game, of just his dealings. Like, a lot of his bravado was starting to get to the board at Uptown, so they let him go. Then they decide, we'll let you go, but we'll give you, Notorious B.I.G., because he was signed to Uptown at the time, and we will sell you his record, which they already had. They already had it done. And, he had to go to Clive Davis to basically get the money to start up the label, to get things going. If you know who Clive Davis is, you know what I'm saying, he was record head executive. I forget, I think it was Jive or something like that. But he pretty much gave us Whitney Houston. And if you know about Whitney Houston, you kind of know her problems and you know where it started. Rumor is it kind of started with him. So, let that being said, if you have egomaniac, kind of a little narcissistic, mainly narcissistic, with a crazy complex, why would you do business with a guy who is notorious for drugs? I think that was the beginning of the end. So they get a $10 million deal. They get a $10 million initial deal to start Bad Boy. Him and his co-founder, Kirk Burrows, who, like I said, is in the documentary. He gives a lot of detailed information, which we never really got our hands on. And he explains it. He covered up a lot for this guy, and he did it all because he was part of the family. You know what I'm saying? He was Bad Boy. They started it. He received 25%, and Puff started it, and 75% went in Puff's mom's name. So you got to look at it from that standpoint. This guy was there from the ground up. They worked at Uptown together. They left together, where I guess he left shortly after, Puff was let go to really start, flourish on their dream, to keep going on the dream. So they start Bad Boy. They take Biggie. Mind you, Biggie and Tupac were friends. Biggie would open for Tupac. And I guess this is maybe an opportunity for a learning lesson, right? When I was younger, I was familiar with Tupac through Digital Underground. And Digital Underground was Humpty, and like I think it was a few other guys, in the crew, but that was the main focal point was Humpty. You know what I'm saying? Who was also Shock G, same person. But he played this role. Sometimes he was Humpty Hump, sometimes he was just Shock G, right? Now, with that being said, they were doing movies, they were doing soundtracks, like he was already popular. Like Tupac had already had a following. He was already famous. Notorious B.I.G. was coming up. And they knew him. Everybody knew about their relationship back then. You know what I'm saying? Back in the 90s. This is probably like 93, 92, to 94. I think when Pac got shot, which they talk about in the second episode, it was going to meet, Big and Lil C's and them at the studio. So that occurred, and I think that was the beginning. That was the beginning of the ripple for Diddy. I think his involvement with that, his jealousy of Pac, because they really go over and explain how he did not mesh well with Tupac because Tupac was his own man. He wasn't fake. He wasn't, a character. He was his authentic self who was just being an artist, and people gravitated towards him. Where we have to remember from the first episode, it's kind of acknowledged that, Diddy's mom put him in this weird realm of having to perform. So he always felt like he had to put on this show or this bravado, where Tupac just naturally had it. And I think with the, his court cases, him kind of being like championed in the street for busting for busting dirty cops, gave, Puff a little bit of like irritation because he's like, man, why this dude don't like me? Because he knew you. You know what I'm saying? He saw through the fakeness. Just like he kind of was more worried about Big's success than he was worried about the record label success. Because they even say in the documentary, Puff wanted to work with Pac bad. Pac wasn't going. So now, fast forward to after the shooting. Pac goes to jail for the rape case. Biggie and Puff start to kind of grow, but at the same time they're not growing fast enough because on the West Coast, Suge Knight is blowing up with Dr. Dre and Snoop. Like this is all happening at the same time. So remind you, like I said, this is like a history lesson. When I was young, I was probably like 6 or 7. I remember this because I'm like getting into rap, and this is right after the No Vaseline era because Dr. Dre was leaving NWA and he went to Death Row. Death Row had Snoop, had Dr. Dre. I think they had the Dog Pound, a couple other, I think, other artists, but it wasn't really like they was booming, but it wasn't like a whole gang of people, like, you know what I'm saying? So when he picked up Tupac, it was actually pretty dope because like they say in an interview with Snoop, now that they got Tupac, there's nothing y'all can do. Like they were already scrutinized for being called Death Row Records back in the day. And, this is like coming off of the NWA Public Enemy era. So rap is already looked at now from going from party music and R&B to, a message. Now, Big and Bad Boy didn't have the same political message, or they didn't have the same message of a struggle necessarily that everybody else kind of had that was coming out with gangster music or rap music. So I think that's what it kind of was like, Puff was still looked at as soft. You still looked at as not a street dude. So at the end of the day, these people don't respect you. Street dudes don't respect you, or guys that have, done something actually don't respect you. And on top of that, you have people in the prisons telling Pac, yo, big man set you up. You know what I'm saying? Just straight tell him. He got proof. Interviews saying it. I got proof, but I just, I'm trying to let it live. And when you go into watching, it gets to a point where Puff is intertwined with 2 different Crip sets through a guy named Zip. Zip was supposedly, and this is all allegedly because, I have to say it. Allegedly, Zip Code was the guy who was running, New York at the time, whether it was drugs or whatnot, because he was affiliated across the country. Like he had a relationship with two Crip sets, Southside Crips and another Crip set in L.A. Who, when Big and Puff would go out there, they would kind of hang out with these guys because he would furnish basically protection. So you know how they always say you got to check in and woo woo this woo that. That was basically where that kind of established themselves. Yo, if you coming from the East Coast, you don't want to get robbed, you don't want no smoke. While you out here, you might want to associate yourself with some groups, which now we know is stupid, because all it is a simple way for them to get money out of you or extort you or rob you themselves. So now let's fast forward back, because that established relationship with the Crips, I think, led Puff to believe he had some leverage to do things that he probably never was, wanting to do before, but now he could. Because then we get to after the Tupac shooting, right? Tupac is, and this is before he's even doing any business with Death Row. This is just solely him being friends with Biggie and still a New York rapper, out here getting it, right? So now Suge Knight at the time was, well, before he was Death Row, he was Al B. Sure's bodyguard. So that's how he ended up meeting that's how he ended up meeting Sean Combs, because he was the bodyguard of Al B. Sure. Al B. Sure was on their Uptown, so was he. So they had a little relation. They had knowledge of each other. They actually hung out. They actually were acquaintances. Not gonna say friends, but they were acquaintances. So now we get to the part where the whole East Coast West Coast war is established, is because after the I think it was the Source Awards was in New York, and Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, they came out, they performed, and this is the very matter of fact, yeah, this was the award show where Suge was on stage. Hey, if you don't want, your producer all in your video dancing, all that, you want to get some real shit, come holler at Death Row. So now he says that, I believe that was the same year, Snoop performs. New York ain't got no love for the West Coast. New York ain't got no love for the West Coast. Like, all of these are, for my generation, iconic moments that happened that we did not know the full story behind it, but now we do. And so it does explain a lot. It explains the animosity and how it grew, how y'all went from being cool to having this animosity, but it all came from the backstabbing of Diddy. Like, yeah, man, if you sitting here doing low key stuff under, sneaky stuff, and then all of a sudden people that mess with you don't want to mess with you no more, you can't get mad at them and try to kill them, bro. But that's what he did. So now we go to the club scene where Suge is there with his guy Jake, and they explain it in the doc. Come out the club because he's being pushed out the club by off-duty cop that normally worked with Bad Boy, and it's kind of like a setup. As soon as they get outside, Suge, Puff, his guy Jake, guy walks up to his guy Jake, puts a gun on him, looks at Suge Knight, and just starts shooting his guy while looking at Suge Knight. Suge Knight grabs Puff by the neck, throws him in front of him, Nino Brown style, tells him, man, if he gonna shoot me, he's shooting you first. And Puff just tells him, man, it's gonna be all right. Man, it's gonna be all right. That's a setup, bro. That's a setup. I don't care how y'all slice it. That's a setup. Somebody starts shooting one of the guys we with, and I'm standing here calm, and it's my party. I invited y'all here. Get out of here, bro. And it's an off-duty cop that's here, and he ain't doing nothing. Get out of here. Too many questions, too many variables. It just don't seem right. So now let's think about it in this aspect, right? If you're Suge Knight, you know what I'm saying? You are a record head, and you're in New York. You just watch one of your best friends get murdered, and it has something to do with this guy. You can't tell, because we all know the code. As soon as you tell, you are labeled a snitch. It is what it is. I think he had no choice, right? But this is what created that East Coast West Coast. But this is also what inspired Suge Knight to go visit Tupac in jail and to put up the $1 million bail, which, like I said, when I was young, I knew about this because there was a rumor of a All Eyes on Me album, coming out from Tupac, and this was supposed to be hard. Like we remember Dear Mama, we remember a couple, Brenda. We remember those records, and we said, man, dude got some talent, but he be talking about some real soft-hearted stuff. But there was I think they had dropped a single, or there was something that was out, whether it was Hit 'Em Up or it was something, but something had dropped where we was like, bro, he got some fire. So now we see what happens. Suge Knight has to go to New York, has to visit Pac. He signs in the death row right on the spot, gets him released from jail, gets him lawyers to fight the case. He really set him up, right? He really hooked him up, and I feel like that was used against them later, where they tried to vilify Suge Knight and make him the bad guy. And for years, I thought Suge Knight was literally the bad guy in this predicament. But in reality, he was just a real one. He was a real one who went back and helped his boy out, helped out Tupac. And then he got killed, Tupac, because he was a real one. And then Suge had to deal with it because he could not come out and say what he wanted to say because of street stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's just politics. So Puff, like I said, Puff isn't happy. He wasn't happy about Suge getting Tupac out of jail. One, because it made them hotter, and it diminished the Biggie Smalls light a little bit, right? Because you didn't have the same backing. You know what I'm saying? Like, Death Row had rappers. Death Row had rappers. Where I feel like, Bad Boy was okay. Bad Boy had a few rappers, but they didn't have no real gangsters. You know what I'm saying? Y'all had rappers. Y'all had artists. So that's where I always said the East Coast, West Coast thing was always West Coast led. East Coast never won. Never got it. Never hit it. It was always West Coast led because look at the trajectory. Everybody from the West Coast that was a part of that is still relevant and still doing something. I don't care if you Daz Dillinger, he still got some relevancy, right? So now that's kind of how the episode, up to the middle. But then they start to get into the details, right? The details of how Sean Combs put a bounty. So now he's mad because Death Row's popping. He puts a bounty on a Death Row chain, right? $5,000. And that's how the Orlando, what's his name? Orlando Anderson or Lane. That's where he comes into play, right? So he is a part of. So now, okay, let me break it down. Orlando was Orlando Baby Lane Anderson. He is the nephew of Keefe D. So now he was supposed to be out there in the streets real bad back then, right? And this is like early 90s. So everybody, I guess, they know him, but I'm sure they only know him because of his gang affiliation. So now he runs into Suge Knight's nephew at the mall, sees him with the Death Row chain, beats him up, takes the chain. This just so happened to happen, I guess, not too far before the Tyson fight that occurred in 96, the day Tupac was killed. So the interaction, which a lot of us know about, but maybe we don't. Maybe all of us don't. So after the Tyson fight, which footage is in the documentary, so definitely go see, they explain that they're walking into the rotunda of the hotel, and the nephew sees Orlando Anderson walking through, and he's like, man, that's the dude who took my chain. Perfect. So they jump him. They beat him up. I'm not sure if they get the chain back, but they beat him up. So now Orlando Anderson, he calls Keefe D. Keefe D is called by, Puff and other acquaintances, Zip, and they like, man, we heard about it. This is the perfect opportunity. What y'all gonna do? Because just before this, Puff was said, Keefe D says in an interview, which is so incriminating, so ridiculous, that they were already out there partying during the award season the year prior in '95, I guess, and he made it well known. Man, I would pay anything. I would do anything to have Tupac and Suge Knight wiped out. So Keefe D, and this is his own words, is Keefe D is 40 other Crips, is what was it, the head of Uptown Records, he's there. Oh, Andre Harrell, he's there, and there's a couple other guys there, bigger names. They all in the building, and he just comes out and says it. Man, I would pay anything to have them killed. Why he say that in front of all these witnesses? We don't know. I think it was the bravado. I think he felt, empowered. I'm with my niggas. I'm not no real gang member, so I don't understand code, but I'm gonna just say what I want to say. And whatever. That's how I got put out there. So now Keefe D says he negotiates. Man, you give us a meal, we'll take care of it. They shook on it. Plan is in motion. So now the fight happens. Opportunity arises. They find themselves already trying to go to Suge Knight's club that night. So it was Club 662, where ironically Craig Mack was performing. So now they're already waiting on Tupac and Suge to show up so that they can do the performance. Craig Mack is in the building already. Puff and them had 3 cars outside. 3 cars. They had 2 cars at the club, 1 car at the fight. Right? Waiting to do something to Tupac and Suge Knight. So how they explain it, you know what I'm saying? It don't go the way they thought it was supposed to go. They taking too long. Turns out, Tupac and them got pulled over on Las Vegas Boulevard. Police is searching their cars. That's what's taking so long. So they leave the club to go look for him. Look for the car. You know how the story goes. They find the car. They shoot the car up. You know what I'm saying? It's detailed footage in the documentary. That is one thing I'll have to say about this documentary. I don't know how he obtained the footage. I really could care less. I understand that the story out there is that the footage was obtained because it was lack of payment, which follows suit of what, is also said in the documentary from other people that Diddy just doesn't pay people. He doesn't pay. He gets money, but he doesn't pay. And that's literally a common saying from a lot of people with money in entertainment industry that they don't make it, is because they don't pay people correctly. But I guess it's easy because you get all the money. So he didn't pay. They got the footage. All of that is out here for us to see. But it also shows how easily he was willing to be incriminated. You know what I mean? Like, for you to move so recklessly, it's all ego. It's all ego because you put so many people in a predicament where for the money they ain't have no choice, right? They all have a choice. You definitely had a choice, which I find very upsetting about this entire situation, because I feel like a lot of people sold their morality for the dream of getting money and never ever getting it, right? So that really makes y'all look double stupid because you just wasted your whole time in life just to please this man, and all he gave you was a headache. All he gave you was, a story to tell, but no money to back it up, which is crazy. But that's why this episode to me is more emotional or more, of a letdown, because it just we understand from the first episode, how weird his life was growing up and how he could be kind of egotistical and all that. But from the second episode, it just really really lays it on of how diabolical, Puff really is. Is, not was, but is. So going through that whole part was tough. Then it actually gets tougher because the second half of the episode, they go into what he did, as far as after the fact, how he paraded Big around, how he tried to, quell the East Coast, West Coast thing, but he was really just going around lying. And then you took Big to the West Coast where he wasn't supposed to go because Tupac had just got killed the year before. And you take him because of awards, you take him because of this album, and it's really hard for me to say this, but I feel like We allowed Big to be murdered, but he also knew it was coming. And maybe it was just maybe it was something else. Maybe it was something that he had to do with his life. But I think Big knew it was coming, and he just let it happen because there's no way. There's a part of the documentary that Kirk Burrows says I set it up where Big was supposed to fly to the UK. He was going to be the first Bad Boy artist to fly to the UK and do a press junket for the weekend, for that whole weekend, right after the awards in Anaheim. And they didn't go. He didn't go because Puff at the last minute said he wanted to throw a party and that Big needed to be there. They needed to promote. They needed to keep promoting. When in reality, he told people later on that it was a Can't Stop, Won't Stop peace tour. And they wanted to do peaceful, negotiations and talks and do all this, but that none of that was real. All of that was a lie. You know what I mean? There was never any campaign for that. It was just the award show and him throwing a party. So now we see in the documentary footage of the Biggie Smalls shooting, which I've never seen before, and it, like I said, hurts my heart because seeing the footage from from Las Vegas, of Tupac's murder scene, and then hearing Keefe D talk about how they was parked right behind the ambulance, and yeah, they was there, they didn't even leave, they just shot him and then busted Huey real quick and then parked, and then hearing Big's last moments and how it was pretty much orchestrated. It was orchestrated. Yeah, they don't. He didn't shoot him himself. Diddy did not shoot Tupac and Biggie himself, but he definitely had a hand in what led to them being shot. And now, to close out this episode, they explain how he took that fame and he ran with it. He just ran with it, right? So you watch your man's get killed and then go out and lie and tell the world how he was your best friend. You tell the world that you loved him, you love his family loves you. His mama hates you. His mother hated you. And they explain that in the doc. Big's mom wasn't messing with you. And I hope and pray that because they never saw the footage. His legal team and Puff have never saw the footage or the documentary. I pray he gets to watch this documentary so that he can see how these people really feel about him. That they weren't impressed. That it was not nothing that they gonna tell their grandkids about and be like, oh man, I rolled with Bad Boy. Nah, bro, you broke their heart and you were a dirtbag for it. So, long story short, man, the second episode, um, was it Pain versus Love? It is a hard one to really watch. And I think out of all of them, it's nostalgic. I'm sorry. The first episode is Pain versus Love. The second episode, what goes down must come up. And it, I think that's what they really thought about it. Is like the fact that Bad Boy did take a dive, right? They did lose a lot. And, but they came up off the losses. You lost Big, you know what I'm saying? You lost Junior Mafia. I think you lost a lot of people in that era, in that time. But your come up was, P. Diddy and the fam. And that's sad because if you watch this, they'll let you know how he orchestrated taking the fame away from Biggie that Biggie had accomplished on his own and just funneling to itself. So we would listen to and be manipulated by his words to believe that we were supporting. Because I promise you, I was listening to, that song with him and Faith Evans all the time. Like, damn, bro, they really lost Big, man. They really loved Big. And they didn't love him at all, bro. Did not love him at all. A whole lot of fake love. That's what they should call the second episode, Fake Love, because it definitely displayed the diabolical nature and the selfishness of Sean Combs and how he did not want anyone to do better or be better than him. Not at all. So, yep. I think that's enough of this recap for this second episode because I still want y'all to go watch this documentary because I do believe, like I said in the first recap, this really gave me a lot of respect for 50 Cent and obviously the director, she is amazing because, like I said, we're doing a documentary, and I felt like, even how they set this up, I want to see more. I would love to see, you know, the a part two. I would love to see the later years if they have any footage, or somebody from the later years that wanted to talk to them about Diddy. I would love to see what they have to say about the brother love years, and after the day 26 and after all that. I would love to talk to them about that because this is egregious, man. This is egregious, but it's also very telling on how people can get away with it. They're getting away with this stuff, but it's also because who's stopping them? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's trying to stop them? A lot of people don't get it, man. This guy is a monster. This guy is a true monster. And I mean, don't get me wrong. We should have known. You know what I mean? We should have known. We should have done more as a community to hold this man accountable. But at the same time, I don't really think it's nothing anyone could have done besides calling the police, which they should have done. A lot of people should have done. But yeah, I don't think it was nothing nobody could have done to change this prior to that, because this guy was just, he was who he was. Hold on, let me see if I can find. I'm going to try to find our Black Geek documentary trailer, because I realized something. I never showed you guys our trailer. I never. Oh, here we go. Okay, 1 second. Let me see. Because I also think this is this is a big motivator for us. Like, as far as, like us doing the documentary, I personally feel like it's a go now. Like, you have no choice, because look at what they're doing. Okay, wait, shake it. There we go. All right. So I'm gonna play the first trailer. I'm gonna see if I can find our new trailer, but I'm gonna play this first trailer. And this is of the Black Geek documentary, produced, directed by Geek Set Podcast. I've actually been cameraman for a lot of the footage, not all of the footage, but a lot of the footage, a lot of the background footage, behind the scenes footage. And just shout out to the team, man, because like, it's been a long road. We've been doing it for some years now, but we've actually made progress, and we are looking to finish soon. But what I have to say is that I watched the 50 Cent and the director, Alexander Stapleton, on MSNBC the other day, just talking about it, and it dawned on me. He said he'd been working on this for 10 years. 10 years in order to get something this quality. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I agree it takes that amount of time. And the Black Geek documentary, to me, is in the same realm as far as how we're covering it and what we're covering. So yeah, let me let y'all check this out, man, and give me one shit. Let me find the other one.
The one thing that I absolutely love about the culture is that it's still embedded in Black culture.
White geeks still rock Dunks or Jordans, and they also talk about Batman versus Superman. Batman and versus Superman is literally Brown versus Jordan.
Dragon Ball Z, that like my whole trajectory in life changed. Don't nobody talk to me, my shit is on.
We just finna experience it. It look like it's gonna be real deep.
Oh my God, this is crazy!
The elevation from where King Vader started to now fucking live.
Black geek culture helped me through some of the highs of my life, through some of the lows of my life. It's always been there, sort of like an undercurrent to everything that I did.
There was no term for it. It was just, this is what I'm doing.
I love us in it. I love the fact that we take things and we always make it better.
All right, y'all. Oh, that's what's up. So yeah, that's our trailer for the Black Geek documentary, presented by Geekset. And if y'all have an opportunity, man, go check out the page. Go check out the page. Don't forget to subscribe to this page, the King Media Group page. But yeah, check out the Black Geek documentary, man, because we doing good work over there. And at the same time, we have a message that needs to be sent, just like they had a message for this doc. So anywho, that is my time. Until next time when we look into episode 3, because then we have to talk about Cassie. And we have to talk about all of it. All the women's. We got to talk about it. But anywho, till then, man, y'all stay out the streets, man, and stay in the movies. Peace.